By making too woke be a cancelable offense, it's important for America to have a center-left party, and for that party to be competitive. And a good first step toward that goal would be to make the voters not want to punch you in the face. The reason I'm so mad at the Democrats is because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it. You lost everything.
Bill Maher has once again lit a fire. Under the woke left and the meltdowns are nothing short of spectacular. They still can't stomach the reality that Kamala Harris lost the election to Donald Trump, so the excuse factory is running overtime. But Maher, a self-proclaimed leftist, just dropped a brutal truth. Bomb that send them into full-blown panic mode if you crave scorching political commentary that rattles the spine of every woke activist in sight. Smash that subscribe button and let's dive in.
My message to the losers: losers, look in the mirror. No? Well, maybe you should. Sorry. Well, that's my feeling. Losers, look in the mirror, okay? You know, yeah. I mean, for months, Democrats have been saying, how is this even close? And they're right, it wasn't.
And that's a message at center. Woke left into a full-blown tailspin. Instead of owning up to their failures, they've been pointing fingers at everyone and everything for Kamala Harris's crushing defeat. Russia, the legacy, media, American voters, basically anyone, remotely blamable except themselves. Accountability not in their playbook. So, when Bill Maher began his monologue, they were ready for the usual blame game script. But instead, he flipped the table, telling them to stop whining and start looking inward. That alone had them squirming. Yet, it was what he said. Next, his unapologetic, no prisoners, taken truth bomb that didn't just ruffle feathers. It ripped the whole bird apart, sparking an online meltdown of epic proportions.
They could not conceive of a second Trump term, but they should have. When does America ever turn down seconds? I mean, come on. Look, this is just the facts. It's just the facts. Trump won all the swing states, all 7. I mean, he ran the table. Trump won so big. Today he called the Secretary of State in Georgia, and he asked him to lose him $11,000.
I completely get why Bill Maher drives the majority of leftists up the wall, because nothing stings more than being roasted to oblivion by one of your own. They expect him to follow the predictable late-night formula, tear into Trump, toss out the usual cheap shots and serve up the same tired punchlines that Jimmy Kimmel, Jon Stewart, and Stephen Colbert churn out night after night. But Maher is cut from a different cloth. He's not interested in playing team cheerleader. He's here to call out hypocrisy wherever it hides. And when he sets his sights on the Democrats, his no-mercy takedowns aren't just sharp, they're epic, leaving his own side scrambling for excuses and nursing some very public bruises.
But, you know, he has an amazing coalition. He kept the old crowd that likes him. He got a lot of new voters. He got a lot of people who say they just want to see what he'll do. I call this the get the cat high vote.
Maher then pointed out one of the key secrets behind Trump's successful return to the White House, holding onto his loyal base from previous elections while steadily pulling in new voters, something the DNC utterly failed to replicate. By the end of Joe Biden's second year in office, nearly half of the people who had once cast their ballots for him had already jumped ship. And these weren't just ordinary voters. They included high-profile figures like Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, both of whom publicly distanced themselves from the Democrats. Then came RFK Jr., who eventually broke ranks after becoming disillusioned with the increasingly radical woke policies dominating the left's agenda. Maher's point was brutal, but clear. Trump's strategy was about retention and expansion, while the Democrats seemed more focused on alienating their own supporters and watching their coalition crumble in real
He
Time.
did better, like in every demographic. The exit poll said he grabbed 52% of white women. He also got their votes. Yeah. We're going to keep doing jokes here, okay? Right? Both sides, right to the end.
Trump securing 52% of the white female vote is nothing short of fascinating, especially when you remember the left's relentless efforts to bury him under scandal. They paraded women into courtrooms to testify against him, turning the legal process into a political spectacle. Legacy media didn't just report on it. They stalked every hearing, every statement, every facial expression, broadcasting it in breathless wall-to-wall coverage. The goal was crystal clear: paint Trump as irredeemable, destroy his reputation, and make him politically radioactive. They threw every smear, every accusation, every ounce of media firepower they had. And yet, when the dust settled, Trump walked away with justice from the courts, and perhaps more shockingly for his critics, the backing of a majority of white women voters. In the end, the narrative they tried to script crumbled, and the voters wrote their own ending.
You have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. The Democratic polling firm Blueprint told Democrats months ago that black voters, aka their supposedly liberal base, were more likely to find the president too liberal than too conservative. They also found that voters didn't just want Harris to distance herself from Biden, they wanted her to distance herself from what they believe the entire Democratic Party has become, a Portlandia sketch.
While Trump was making surprising gains among white women, Kamala Harris was steadily losing ground with black voters, a demographic the Democrats have long taken for granted. Why? Because the left had drifted so far into the depths of woke culture that it alienated parts of its own coalition. Instead of focusing on economic empowerment, public safety, and educational opportunity, the core concerns of many black communities, the DNC chose to double down on pandering to LGBTQ activists, a move that clashed with cultural values traditionally held in many black neighborhoods. Rather than listening, engaging, and building genuine dialogue, Harris and her team decided the answer was to lecture and impose their ideals. That heavy-handed approach didn't just miss the mark, it backfired spectacularly. The result: growing frustration, waning enthusiasm, and a clear signal from black voters that their support could no longer be treated as a political guarantee.
But Kamala threw the environment under the bus to win the fracking vote in Pennsylvania and the automobile vote in Michigan, and then didn't win either. At the presidential debate, environment came up once, and Kamala used the opportunity to brag that we've increased domestic gas production to historic levels. And Trump, of course, called Mother Nature a childless cat lady. And now we're back to that, because the Democrat lost. So good luck to us, and enjoy the impossible lobster.
And that right there is what so many Americans respect about Donald Trump. No smoke, no mirrors, no convoluted double speak. What you see is exactly what you get. He doesn't wrap his words in layers of political fluff or hide his intentions behind focus group sound bites. You may not like what comes out of his mouth, but you'll never have to wonder what he really meant. No lies to win your vote. No hollow promises to keep you pacified until the next election cycle. No betrayal disguised as compromise. Trump's brand is raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically transparent. And in a political world dripping with stage theatrics, that's rare currency. Voters can't say the same for Kamala Harris, and that was her undoing. From the very start of her campaign, Harris's messaging was murky, inconsistent, and frankly all over the place. She shifted her tone depending on the audience, adjusted her talking points based on whichever demographic she was courting that week, and avoided clear positions on the most pressing issues. Her speeches were long on platitudes, but painfully short on substance. People listened, waited for a solid takeaway, and walked away with nothing.
Try making too woke be a cancelable offense. It's important for America to have a center-left party, and for that party to be competitive. And a good first step toward that goal would be to make the voters not want to punch you in the face.
MI is absolutely right. The Democrats need to ditch the suffocating grip of woke culture if they have any hope of winning the next election. They've allowed fringe hyper-progressive ideals to dominate their platform, alienating huge swaths of ordinary Americans who just want common sense solutions, not ideological lectures. Instead of shoving woke talking points down everyone's throats, they should be listening to the concerns of everyday citizens, concerns about the economy, jobs, safety, and stability. Policies should reflect reality, not Twitter trends. This obsession with identity politics and virtue signaling doesn't inspire. It irritates. In fact, it's gotten to the point where, figuratively speaking, it makes people want to punch them in the face out of sheer frustration. If the Democrats could refocus on bread and butter issues instead of woke posturing, they might actually stand a fighting chance against a political machine like Trump.
I will conclude by saying the reason I'm so mad at the Democrats is because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it. You lost everything. House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court, and left us completely unprotected and ready to be violated. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
The Democrats have managed to deeply disappoint much of their own base with an agenda that seems allergic to common sense. While the economy was crumbling, families struggling to keep up with skyrocketing prices and stagnant wages, their priority wasn't fixing inflation or boosting jobs. No, their spotlight was on pushing gender-affirming care for minors, championing medical interventions for children still years away from adulthood. On the global stage, America's image was sliding, our rivals emboldened, and our allies uneasy. Yet, the DNC's focus was on policies that allowed biological males to compete in women's sports and enter female-only spaces, sparking outrage among parents, athletes, and everyday citizens alike. Instead of uniting Americans around shared values and urgent issues, they doubled down on divisive cultural battles, sending a clear message that ideology came before practicality and politics came before the people they were elected to serve.
What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok.
In the end, the Democrats' 2024 defeat wasn't just about Trump's strength. It was about their own self-inflicted wounds. While Trump held his base, expanded into new voter blocks, and projected authenticity, the DNC alienated core constituencies with vague messaging, tone-deaf priorities, and an overbearing commitment to woke culture. Kamala Harris failed to inspire trust, choosing safe, scripted platitudes over clear, decisive positions, instead of addressing the kitchen table concerns of everyday Americans, jobs, inflation, safety. They obsessed over divisive cultural battles that fractured their own coalition. From losing white women to bleeding black voter support, the signs were clear but ignored. Even voices from within the left-like Bill Maher sounded the alarm, urging the party to abandon ideological posturing and reconnect with reality. They didn't listen and paid the price. If Democrats want to win again, they'll need more than excuses. They'll need to remember who they're supposed to be fighting for. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed our spicy hot commentary, then hit